Good morning. Good morning. 11 o'clock on the East. It is October 27th. This is our 32nd episode of Meet the Experts. We are super excited that we've even made it. I heard this thing the other day, podcasts, like people do like the average length of podcast or amount of episodes that people do is like 4 before they're just like give up on it. Right. And of course, I begrudgingly use the term podcast for this because it is a live stream. It is a web series, and we are interviewing people to allow them to tell their stories. And today's story is remarkable. I'm excited to learn more. I've had the chance to talk to our guest just a real little amount and learn a little bit. And I'm going to read you a bio in just a second. But yeah, I think today's story is going to move a lot of people, and also probably maybe, I don't want to use the term wake up some people, but maybe just bring some awareness to something that a lot of people just don't know about. I was clueless about it. So let me read this real quick about today's guest. So we're going to have Marianne Wallman up, and she has been a neuroendocrine cancer patient for over 21 years. And she is the co-founder and executive director of Ncan, which is the Neuroendocrine Cancer Awareness Network, for 19 years. And now she leads 30 support group chapters across the U.S. She also co-founded the Worldwide Neuroendocrine Cancer Day. She has been doing this. This is her passion, and we couldn't be more excited to bring Marianne on the show today. So let's go ahead and do that. Good morning, Marianne. How are you?
Good morning, Jay. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. I know
Me
we
too.
got to talk briefly during our little pre-interview, and I was just like, wow, I didn't even know this existed. And you were like, yeah, a lot of people don't. So tell us more about who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I am a neuroendocrine patient. Short, we call it NET, neuroendocrine tumors. I was misdiagnosed for 7 years. I was bleeding from the rectum, having diarrhea 20, 30 times a day, doctor to doctor to doctor, and they all told me I was, I had irritable bowels, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, when the whole time I had this tumor actually growing inside of me. I finally found a doctor to diagnose me, and I found out that I had carcinoid, which is one tumor of neuroendocrine. It is an umbrella for a bunch of different types of tumors. Most cases they're slow growing, but in some cases they are faster growing. And so I got diagnosed with this disease, and there was no information whatsoever. There was, one foundation that answered the phone, but they were only there a couple of days a week for a couple of hours. So we kind of took my diagnosis and said, hey, we need to learn more about this. The doctors need to learn more about it. And so we started the foundation, and we've been in existence for over 19 years. And we just want to spread the word about neuroendocrine. A lot of people don't realize that Steve Jobs and Aretha Franklin did not die of pancreatic cancer. Every news station said pancreatic cancer, when in fact they had neuroendocrine of the pancreas. And so it's a rare disease. Not really. It's just underdiagnosed. So that's why I'm here. I want to spread the word about this disease. If caught early, you could live 30, 40 years, 50 years with it. But you need the proper treatment. You need to find the right doctors, and that's how you can survive. And so that's what we do. We answer phones, we send out information, we do educational programs around the country.
It's amazing. And yeah, that was the one thing you had mentioned to me on the pre-interview, is about Steve Jobs and Aretha Franklin. It blew my mind because I I can't help but to ask myself this question. It's like knowing family members that have died of pancreatic cancer and they're gone. Like in my head now, I want to ask, well, could it have been that, and could they still be alive? And I'll never know. But that was one of the things that just blew my mind when you told me that. So so you have this great organization. You're bringing awareness. What are some of the services that you guys provide, and who do they help?
Well, we provide a hotline that's open 7 days a week, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And guess who answers the phone? Me. I answer all the calls. If I'm not available, Robert will answer the phone, who is my husband. He's the co-founder. And the reason why we do that is because I don't want to hire somebody that's just reading off a script. When a person calls here, I want them to know we understand what they're going through. We are patients, we are caregivers, and we want them to feel that they are being heard and that we're a family and that we're here to help. Um, a lot of patients are very, very scared when they get diagnosed. First of all, it's scary getting the diagnosis of cancer as it is, but then to be diagnosed and then not know what to do and being heard that it's a rare disease and there's not enough doctors to treat us and things like that, it's nice to hear a friendly voice on the other end. So that's what we do with the phone. We send out information packets to explain different treatments, where they can get services, financial services, and things like that. And then, of course, we do educational programs, and all the programs are recorded, and we put them on our website. So we have a YouTube channel with 300 or more videos on there of specialists that specialize only in this disease.
That's awesome. And what I'll do is I'll try to remember later to go grab that YouTube channel and put that in the comments of anybody who is watching this now or on the replay, to
Great.
make sure that we can get people over there, because that's a wealth of. I mean, I'm a marketing agency. I don't know that I have 300 videos yet, so that's pretty awesome. So now. You mentioned you getting people calling, they need help, they need a friendly voice on the other end of the phone, and you provide that. And I'm sure that over 19 years, you've helped quite a few people. Does any testimonials, or is there anything that somebody said to you about the work you do that just really, you just remember, it sticks with you?
Well, there's several. Usually on the phone call, we usually hear from the patient saying, "Thank you for answering the phone." On Thanksgiving, on Christmas, New Year's. But what they usually say is, "I got more information from you in the 15 minutes on the phone than I did 6 months seeing my doctor." Because we give them little tidbits of how to deal with the disease and how to handle the diarrhea, and little things that doctors don't have the time to sit down and tell people. When the doctor walks in the room, he has maybe 10 minutes with you. When they call here, I will stay on the phone. If a patient needs me for an hour, I'll stay on the phone an hour with them. I'm not going to shut them down, because I've seen too many doctors just kind of dismiss people. At one point during my diagnosis, I actually had a doctor say to my husband and I, as we were sitting there in the office holding hands, "Her symptoms are caused by being in a bad marriage. Maybe you should consider marriage counseling."
My goodness. Like, I can't imagine a doctor saying that.
Yeah, and my husband stood up and said, "I hope you don't expect us to pay this bill." And we walked out. But, this is what these people are dealing with because they haven't been heard. On average, 5 to 7 years of misdiagnosis being treated for the wrong disease. So when they get somebody on the phone that actually understands and says, "Yeah, they get it, and this is my family now." So, we have a banner and it says at our conferences, every family has a story. Welcome to ours. And so we want people to know that there's a family here and that we're here to help them and make sure they get their own way. And, I advocate for neuroendocrine cancer, but I also advocate for patients to open up their mouth and ask questions with the doctor. Don't always take what the doctor says as God. Doctors don't have the time to individually learn every disease. And the doctors work for you. You don't work for the doctors. So if you're not understanding something, question. Go into a doctor's office, bring somebody with you, break down notes before you go into the doctor's office, because a lot of people walk in the doctor's office and they go, "Oh my gosh, what do I have to tell them?" And they'll say, "So how are you feeling?" And every time, I don't know who doesn't say this, but every time a doctor says, "How's it going?" you say, "I'm fine.
Right.
I'm doing good." So, that's why we advocate. We just kind of advocate to make people have a voice in their medical decisions, because by them having a voice in their medical decisions, they're getting better health care. And we're saving people's lives that way because they are questioning and they want to know, and you get better care that way.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I know people in my family who, uh, when they're going to a doctor, they ask other people in my family who have some somewhat more medical knowledge than others to go with them. And I think that's an absolutely phenomenal suggestion to tell people to do. I mean, if you know somebody who's in the healthcare field, or at least may have gone through anatomy and physiology classes to at least, or somebody that works in the medical field, they may not know, but at least they might know the right questions to ask. And that's most important.
Yeah. Also, ask the doctor if you could tape the conversation.
Yeah.
So this way you could play it back later on, because a lot of times you're in shock with the diagnosis. And so you sometimes forget what they say. And then you get home and say, oh my God, what did he say? you know,
Yeah.
so this way, if you have a recording or you have somebody there taking notes, it's a second set of eyes or a second set of ears listening to what's going on.
Absolutely. I got to say that I'm guilty of that in my day-to-day life, not even with doctors. I'll talk to somebody on the phone. I'll come home. My wife will say, so what'd they say? And I'm like, I don't really remember. Did you ask them this? Did you ask them that? Oh, no.
No,
So
it's true.
yeah. All right. The next question that I often ask is more geared towards the business owner, but I think you could probably dive in a little bit on your personal story. We often ask, how have you earned it, learned it, or proved your authority? Now, obviously, I wish you never had to earn this or learn this, right, in your own personal life. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Um, but, um, but I guess maybe tell me a little bit of your journey of maybe what you knew when you were first diagnosed, and then maybe some of the key things you've learned since then.
Well, when I first got diagnosed, I knew nothing.
Mm.
Just like the doctors, nobody knew anything about it. So I had to learn real fast. The doctors told me I had 5 years, and I had young children that I wanted to be around for. And so I started researching and getting to know people. And I got to actually be mentored by some of the top specialists in the country who helped me learn so much about the disease. And it was kind of trial and error. Most people would say cancer diagnosis is a curse. To
Mm.
me, it was a blessing. I have been truly blessed by so many people that have come into my life, whether it be the physicians that treat the neuroendocrine patients. I got diagnosed, and then I've been diagnosed 21 years. And then after being diagnosed 11 years, I got my daughter diagnosed. And she was diagnosed at 22 years old. And everybody said, there's no way that she has it. And I said, I'm telling you, this child is showing the same symptoms that I'm having. I want her tested. And when they tested her and they found the tumor, they were like, this is a miracle, because she was diagnosed 10 to 15 years prior to anybody ever finding this if you had not pushed for these tests. And so I feel that my journey was to save my daughter, to make sure that my daughter was safe.
Mm.
But my calling is for all net patients. I want to see this to be a common name. I want to see that patients get the treatment that they need. When I got diagnosed, there was one drug and one scan. We now have numerous drugs and numerous scans. So we have made so much progress. When I got diagnosed, there was 10 specialists in the world that treated neuroendocrine. Now we have hundreds of doctors that are treating neuroendocrine. So I'm seeing so much more happen, and a lot has to do with our proactive advocating for doctors to listen to the patients and things like that. But that's how I became a specialist in this. I had no choice. I had to find out for myself, and I had to find out for my daughter. And now we just continue doing it. And I have no shame about talking about diarrhea or talking about my symptoms or anything like that. And I will talk to anybody that wants to talk about it, and advocate for any patient that calls and says my doctor isn't listening to me. I actually go into doctor's office and say, hey, enough is enough. Let's test her and find out what's going on. And that's important to me.
That's critically important. So I know you mentioned the diarrhea and you mentioned some of the other symptoms, and a lot of times people are like, "Oh, TMI," but there's one place that there's never TMI, and that's with your doctor, right? I mean, you
Right.
got to tell them everything. Be brutally honest, and don't worry about the grossness, because it's or what people might perceive as that. The doctor's not going to feel that way.
Right. Right.
So let me ask you this, and I love asking people this, because this is when people really kind of reflect. But you probably have a long list of what I'm about to ask. But what is something that you're truly thankful and grateful for?
I'm truly grateful that I was diagnosed and that I'm able to help people. I'm changing people's lives. We have a database of over 10,000 patients in the US,
Wow.
and we have helped thousands of patients along the way. And, it's funny that a lot of our patients that have passed, their family members stay in touch,
Mhm.
and they volunteer and they come to our conferences and help work the conferences for us. And that's just a testament of how much they believe in this organization, is that even after their loved ones pass, they still come back and help us out. And I'm grateful for each and every one of them. And I'm just grateful for my family. I mean, my children support me from day one. When I got diagnosed, everybody said, "Oh, don't tell your children, don't tell your children." And my husband and I always said, I want to be truthful to my children. I want them to know what's going on, so this way they can help me during my journey. I didn't want them to wonder, why is mommy losing weight? Why is mommy always in the bathroom? It wasn't something that I could really hide. We had one bathroom in the house.
Mm.
And when you have to go to the bathroom 20 times a day, it's kind of hard to hide it. You can't,
Right.
So it was like, okay, kids, if you're taking a shower, you have to leave the door unlocked in case of an emergency and things like that. So, I'm really grateful that my children have been at my side and they are very much involved with neuroendocrine community. And my husband has been right at my side. And I'm grateful for all the pharmaceutical companies. People give them a bad rap and say they're only after money. Those pharmaceutical companies are the ones that are saving our lives. If it wasn't for some of those pharmaceutical companies, I wouldn't be sitting here today. If I didn't have some of these specialists, I would not be sitting here today. I am very blessed that way.
You're like a hero to me, just in what you just said.
Thank
I
you.
mean, and I'm sure a much bigger hero to a lot of the people that the organization helps. But I just love hearing any story of how somebody had something that seemingly so devastating and tragic, and be able to turn that around and find a calling in it and helping other people is just like, it's a monumental shift that I would hope for everyone to be able to do if they were faced with something like that. And so
Thank you.
that's amazing. Absolutely. Thank you. So couple things, and then we're going to wrap up. We kind of hinted about it earlier, but I want to come back to it. What are some common questions that people ask you or ask of the organization?
Well, that we get calls all the time about, what questions should I ask my doctor?
Mm.
How do I advocate for myself? Where do I get nutritional information? There's not much information on nutrition for the neuroendocrine community. They want to know where they can get financial help. One of the drugs that we are taking, it costs about $20,000 a month.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
Mm. Mm.
And, yeah, so the copay is kinda high, and, I understand, believe me, because I was on 4 times that dose, so, it was really, really expensive. So they need to find out financial things and things like that, but they just wanna know how to explain it to their loved ones.
Mm.
It's not an easy thing to explain, because unfortunately, years ago, it was called carcinoid cancer, meaning slow growing, cancer like. And so that's why we changed everything to neuroendocrine, because a lot of doctors still have the belief that it's not really a cancer, or that it's, a slow growing, you don't have to worry about it, and things like that. So those are the kinds of questions that we get, is how do I explain, how do I get support for my family and loved ones?
That's awesome. And now those questions, I know you have mentioned like over 300 YouTube videos and the website. Do you answer a lot of these questions in the videos and on the website as well?
Yes, yes, yes. We have a resource room where we have a glossary, and in the glossary, it has all different kinds of medical information of different types of tumors, how what blood tests should be done, and things like that. The videos we have doctors speaking. After the videos, we have question and answer sessions, so they can submit questions and they're recorded so they can go back and say, all right, well, this question is something that maybe I would ask, and then they would be able to get some answers that way. And we have a whole network of doctors and things like that. If they can't get answers, we can connect them with doctors as well.
Awesome. That's great. So before we wrap up, just do you guys have any big events coming up or anything going on soon?
Yeah, we do. We actually have a national conference that has been planned since 2018, and it's finally going to take place in 2 weeks in Atlanta, Georgia. We have 20 specialists from around the country coming. It's a 3-day event at the Marriott Marquis, and you could go to the website and register. And it's a really great event. And we'll be celebrating Cancer Day on November 10th. So we'll be at the conference for November 10th to have a big celebration. And then we have a gala on Long Island. So if anybody is on Long Island, look up the gala. It's a lot of fun. And
Awesome.
on the agenda for next year, we have about 6 different conferences coming up. So keep up on the website and you can find out where they are.
Okay, so the website, www.netcancerawareness.org. You can see it in the scrolling ticker down below going across, netcancerawareness.org, and the phone, 866-850-9555. And they might just get you on the phone if they call, huh?
They'll 99% of the time will get me on the phone.
Awesome.
We do only answer the phone from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7
Got
days
it.
a week. So
That's plenty, and that's huge. So, Marianne, thank you so much for coming on today. My eyes have been opened wide to this, and thank you for all that you do. I think it's really, really important. So, thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me. Talk to you
course.
soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Awesome. Well, that was Marianne. What a great nonprofit organization. If you want to be a future guest on Meet the Experts, you can be a guest as well. Just go to guests.howto.agency, guests.howto.agency. Let me put that up on the screen. And speaking of great nonprofits, I wanted to give a special shout out today to the Borgen Project. This organization fights on a daily basis for those who are living in extreme poverty. I want you to visit borgenproject.org as well for more info. And they're more of a local project here. So with that being said, our next episode is Tuesday, I believe, which I think is November 1st. And so be on the lookout for that. And until next time, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you on